In this video, I want to talk a little bit about why your conversion rate as an online store, e-commerce business, most likely is dropping or will continue to drop in 2025. It's going to be for this one specific reason. A lot of people don't know this and they start to make all kinds of changes to the site, sometimes unnecessarily, and they look into the wrong things. And based on the data that I have, based on the research that I've done, I believe this is the number one reason why conversion rates might be dropping. So if you're finding yourself in that situation, this is for you. Now, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe, maybe, if you enjoy marketing and business content. The reason I ask so shamelessly is because it gives me an indication of whether I should be doing more of this or not. Like, obviously, I've been doing this for a year. I really love it. I put my heart and soul into these videos. And at the same time, I just want to know if they're valuable. I just want to know if I need to do more of it. So if you don't mind, just give me a like or a comment, and maybe even hit the notification bell if you feel you want to be notified the next time I post a video like this. So just pay attention to this stat for a second. Over the last few years, there is roughly around 500,000 new businesses every year. Now, because of technology, a lot of those businesses are selling online as well. They start with websites, they start to engage on social media, and so forth, because people know that that is a big medium for potential sales. Now, that said, the conclusion is a lot more competitors are entering your space. Think about where your business was maybe last year this time, or even 2 or 3 years ago, or maybe even during COVID. You know, there was a huge e-commerce boom within COVID and after COVID. And a lot of people sold very cool, unique products because e-commerce was basically just emerging. So everybody started importing from Alibaba and doing this and doing that. And a lot of people's passions turned into businesses. Now, with technology, things like ChatGPT and Deep Search and OpenAI and Grok and all these cool tools, people can find products a lot faster. You know, Alibaba, for example, have got hundreds of millions, billions of different types of products that you can source and import. Manufacturing is becoming easier. The cost of manufacturing is also decreasing, which is great for small businesses. So in essence, the bottom line is you just have a lot more competitors than you had a few years ago. And even compared to last year, there's a lot more too. Now what happens is, this is how the average person browses online and shops online. Because you might be under the impression that someone sees, for example, your meta ad, goes to your website, and then buys from you. So you are under the impression that the average person has one touch point. Now, a touch point is basically the actual click on the ad. That's a touch point. Now, another touch point would be when they actually visit your website, and that will be touch point number 2. And then after that, they would most likely consider becoming a customer. They would buy from your store. But this is not really how people shop, or at least the average person shops, okay? The average person, there's a case study that came out recently, and it said that the average customer, the average person who shops and browses online, there is 16 touch points before they decide to give the business their money. 16 different touch points. So that tells you that the average person doesn't browse or just look at a meta ad in their feed, go to the site, and then immediately buys. That's a very small percentage of people. And when I say that, that percentage could be as small as 0.3 to 0.8% of people. I'm not saying that this is your online store conversion rate. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that might be the percentage of people who do that. Maybe even less, from 0.2% actually. Depending on the product and depending on how many competitors you have. And this is what I'm alluding to. If the average person has 16 touch points, in a hypothetical world, it might look like this. They might see a meta ad, and this might be your website. So the meta ad brings them to the site, and what happens? They go back to Google or a social media app of some sorts. Then before you know it, they're on Instagram, they see it again, and they bounce back. So this is going away from the site, this is coming back to the site. And then before you know it, they still don't convert, but they do a Google search. So this is a search that actually happens online. They do a search and they see your store again, but now from a different perspective, a different copy perspective, a different headline that they see that they might not have seen. Maybe they didn't know that there was a specific special, and this link takes them straight to the special page. This is now the third touch point. Then they decide to add the product to their cart. So this is their cart. And then, as you'll know, 70% or 80% of people, up to now, probably up to 80 to 90% of people leave their carts and go back to just online search, or just back to their, operating system, whatever they're using. So now they left the cart. Now they get, for example, an email that they've abandoned the cart, and now they come back to the site and they bounce off again, and then they might see you on TikTok, and then they might come back to the site, and then eventually they might go and buy. So it's just a game of back and forth, really, the whole time, boom, 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 until you get the sale. And I made a video on omni-channel marketing, on why it's important to have your business presented in all of these different types of channels, from organic social. Paid social would include Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, Google, which includes YouTube, maybe TikTok, maybe even Twitter, depending on the business, or LinkedIn, if you're more B2B focused. That's also why email and SMS is so important when people have connected with your brand in some way, to keep communicating with them. That is why omni-channel marketing is so crucial. I want to make sure I get this right and you understand what I'm saying. So this is the customer, and this was essentially your business. You were the first one, number one. This is you. And a year ago or 2 years ago, it was just you. So this person was looking for a product. They're very happy to solve their pain point. And they went onto Google search, for example. Went onto Google and they found your website. There's a good chance that if there was nobody else in the market selling the exact same product, taking care of the exact same pain point, that they might have chosen you by giving you their money. And you might have then had, hypothetically, on average, a 2% conversion rate. For those of you that don't know, conversion rate is really just the amount of people that come to the site versus that buy. Okay, but now, that customer's already solved their pain point, but you're still selling these products to other people now who's also developing those same pain points. But what's happening is there's now another website. There's now another competitor that sells something very similar to you. So they do a Google search, they go see your site, and they go, hold on, I knew there was someone else. So as opposed to buying, they go, let me just do my research. And that now becomes touch point number 2. And then now, because there's 2 options, they go, I need to figure out which one is best. They go, you know what, I'm not 100% sure that I'm convinced, because both of these are very similar. None of them are really shouting louder or has really got a strong, unique selling point more than the other. There's no clear benefit or reason why I should choose one above the other, basically. So what they do is they go back. And now they maybe go back to Meta, which is Instagram or Facebook. And now what happens? Oh, guess what? There's another competitor that you never actually knew existed that's also running ads. And now because they've gone to your site and the competitor's site, Facebook knows Facebook has cookied them, and Facebook knows, hey, this person might be in the market for the specific product. So they go and open their phone the next day or 2 days later, and there's another ad of another company that does something similar to what you do. So that becomes touch point number 4, touch point number 5, and you might be sending them emails, hopefully, or some sort of communication trying to explain why you're better than everybody else. And this keeps on happening. Let's say there's another competitor. Let's say there's 5 competitors now in your space 2 or 3 years later. Now, back in 2020 or 2021, 2022, whatever year you felt like you were crushing it, you might have had a 2% conversion rate. Now you might have, let's say 1.5 or maybe even a 1% conversion rate. And you don't know why. You think it's all technical. You think it's all, issues with the website. Maybe your marketing needs to improve. Obviously, maybe it does. But here's why your conversion rate is dropping. It might not be a technical thing. It just is because you've got more competitors in your space. These people have more choices to choose from. So back in the day, you basically had a 100% chance of getting the sale, hypothetically, obviously, because there was no one else competing with that customer. He only saw your brand. So he was like, well, I'm going to take this product because there's no one else. But now he's got other choices. So that 100% chance now becomes a 20% chance of them choosing you. Why? Because there's 5 businesses. So now you've got a 1 out of 5 chance of converting this customer into a sale. So that is the main reason why conversion rates might start to, let me redo that. So that is the main reason why conversion rates over time might continue to drop. Obviously, alongside that is things like attention span, just the noise in the market in general, other people competing for the feed. But the biggest thing is just there's a lot more competition. And you now need to ask yourself, if you were trying to improve this conversion rate of yours, you need to ask yourself, how do I stand out from my competitors in order to make it very clear to the potential person who wants to buy from me that my business is the best to buy from? Because if you can get that right, they might do less research, because the only reason they continue doing research is because they want to make sure they're making the best decision. Think about it. But if you can explain to them why your business is the best and how you stack up against other competitors, maybe in a way, your conversion rate has a good chance of increasing. Because in theory, there's only really 2 reasons why your conversion rate might be tanking. Okay, if we had to simplify it, it's either a technical issue, and that could be a million different things, obviously, or it could be a psychological issue, and that could be a million things as well. So under technical is like mobile-friendly website. Is it mobile-friendly? Is all the buttons working? Because sometimes they're not. User interface, is it simple to use and easy to understand or where to go? So navigation obviously falls part of this. And user experience. So user interface and user experience is basically well, it's not the same thing. I know people are going to be like, that's not the same. It's not the same thing, but it all falls part of the same customer journey situation. There might be other things too, but that's just the basics. And then from a psychological perspective, the question is, how are you unique? What is your unique selling point? What is convincing the customer that you are the best choice? Value for money. Are you explaining why the price is actually the price? Like, why are you charging what you're charging? How do you compare to other people? How are you actually taking care of their pain points, which equals benefits to them? Like, how are you speaking to them? All that stuff, copy, etc. So all of these things fall part of the psychological process. Now, here's a lot of things that people don't know. If I had to break down what percentage technology and psychology is responsible for the success of conversion rate, technology is obviously important because without the website, you can't make a sale. But if you have a standard Shopify site, there's a good chance you're ticking most of these boxes, unless you went and choose a very terrible theme, and unless you made changes that you shouldn't have done. So in theory, this box should be ticked halfway at least. But this is the most difficult thing that people don't get. When you get this right, I believe in my mind that this is 80% of the equation. So if you tick all these boxes, then there's an 80% chance of you starting to see a success with your online store. And that's what a lot of people don't get right. So we have all these competitors coming into the market. All these people are now competition for you, which means the customer is going to do their research. So you need to figure out, how do you improve all these things so that you can stand out from the competitors and people resonate with you more? The better you're going to be able to do that, the higher your conversion rate will be. And there's a couple of things that you can do. It's just one tip in theory. But you can take this and make it your own, because I think after explaining this to you in a nutshell, you will be able to follow the breadcrumbs in order to do what's best for your business. And I know I'm not making sense, but hear me out. The first thing you need to ask, like, if you had to walk into a retail store, I always think about retail and how you can match the retail experience with the online experience. So if you had to walk into, a cool clothing shop, maybe like a Fabiani, a Superdry, a Polo, Tiger of Sweden, Gucci, whatever, what's going to happen? Someone's going to walk up to you immediately and go, hey, how can I help you? And then you're going to say, well, I am looking for a sweater, I'm looking for jeans. And they're immediately going to go, cool, what size are you? They're going to start assisting you with the sale. Okay, that's really going to give you customer service. And in essence, they're going to create this experience. They're going to say, what size are you? They're going to say, I'm a 34. They're going to go, cool, that's awesome. And what do you like? Well, do you want baggy, slim fit? And you're going to say, I want slim fit. Now, immediately they're going to get, do you want blue, black, navy, whatever? You're going to say, well, I don't mind really the color. It's just as long as it looks nice. Or you're going to say, I want blue, navy, black, dark blue. Cool, sweet. Here they come. They've got 3 different products at the same size. You can now fit them on. As you fit them on, you're like, damn, these things look good. They make my butt look booky. Let me redo that. And as you fit them on, you're going to be like, oh shit. Okay, just Johan, redo this quickly. And as you fit them on, you're going to go, man, I look good. The mirror is maybe adjusted slightly, so you look a little bit thinner without even knowing it. You're going, man, yeah, these quads have been, ooh, look at that. I'm looking good. And all of a sudden, you go and look at the price tag and you go, holy crap. And then you're like, do I need to buy this? Do I not need to buy this? And then you walk out and you go, yeah, you know what? I need to think about it. And the guy goes, what do you need to think about? Like, you looked amazing. You go, yeah, I know, but it's a bit expensive. They're like, well, listen, there's a reason why it's expensive. You're going to go, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, I mean, it's the brand, Gucci, for example, or whatever. I don't know what you buy. I don't really buy designer shit. But now you're going to be like, cool. Why is it 3, 4, 5 grand for these jeans? And the guy's going to start explaining to you. He's going to be like, look, on average, if you wear them every 3 or 4 days a week, which most people do, they wash them probably once or twice a week. If you wash them once or twice a week, you will get X amount of washes out of them, which means they're most likely going to last 3 to 4, 5 years before you have to get another pair. So in theory, if you take a 1,000 Rand pair of jeans that's only going to last 2 years, you need to understand that these jeans cost 4 grand, but they're going to last you 5 years. So in essence, the cost per year, if you use them on a regular basis, is actually much cheaper. And you're going to be like, holy shit, I never really thought about it like that. This is actually an investment. It might be hurting my bank account, but I'm going to be smiling along the way. And then they're going to say, but did you know that we also have pages now at the point of sale? So you can tap, you can then essentially pay interest free. So for the next 2 to 3 months, whatever the actual time frame is, you're not going to really feel that pain. You're like, oh man, that's awesome. That's actually, I never really thought about that. Because on top of that, we're going to give you a 100 Rand voucher that you can send to a friend. Is there someone's birthday coming up? You're like, yeah, there is actually. It's like, well, you can send them a 100 Rand voucher or whatever. And on top of that, you get X, Y, and Z. You get these things for free, socks for free, whatever. You're like, oh, wow, this is really starting to sound like a good deal. Now, what's happening is, in theory, that salesperson is explaining to you why the price is the price and why the product is the product essentially in terms of cost. But ultimately, how it will benefit your life. How cool it would be if you actually owned this pair of jeans. Now, the question we need to be asking ourselves, how can we mimic that online? How can we handle these objections online? And this is an amazing objection handling exercise. I think I saw it from Alex Hormozi. He said it, like, he's quite deep into sales processes and stuff. So he said he was in a designer shop one day and he was buying a jacket. And it was obviously a very expensive jacket. And he was like, I'm not really going to take it. It's not a money thing. I just don't think I'm going to wear these kind of jackets. And the guy said, well, you said it's not a money thing. Let me ask you this. If the product was free, would you take it? And Alex was like, well, yeah, obviously. And he's like, well, then it's not a money thing. Then it's obviously a value thing. So let me actually have a conversation around why the price of the product is really the value, why it matches the value. And I think in a way you can reflect on that and go, hey, everything comes down to how you're handling objections. And that's what salespeople do when you're buying cars, when you're in a store. So the question becomes, how can you do that online? And the quickest way to do that is with your product description. This is the one thing that everybody neglects, and if you did it right, it'll be the thing that makes the most amount of impact on your conversion rate. Because you don't have a salesperson ready to have this conversation with someone, but your product description can essentially do that for you, which will increase your conversion rate, because now the value can start to match the price. Because if the value doesn't match the price, people are not going to buy. But at the same time, if the value exceeds the price, it's going to feel like a good deal. And this is the biggest lever that you can pull that can help you get to this equation, that will help you get to this result. So the question is, like, what can you put into your product descriptions that's not like everybody else? Because that's what everybody does. They just copy each other's product descriptions. They use AI. Like, that's cool, but how are you going to be unique? Because that's the one lever that you can pull to show people that you're unique. And the question becomes, what can you focus on in the copy? Can you explain why the product is the cost that it is? Can you tell people how it's made? Can you tell people the actual benefit? Can you show them, how long it's going to last? Can you show them the quality? And if you put red wine, it will still come out and stuff like that, because that creates the value within their mind, which is a psychological tactic. So I think if you focus on the psychological tactics on your website, it's 80% of the success, which will contribute to a higher conversion rate. And the reason your conversion rate ultimately is going down is because people have just more competition. Everybody sounds the same. So your goal would be to sound different, be unique, and essentially get to a point where people don't really have to compare. Or if they compare, it's very minimum compared to another business where people compare up to 6, 7 businesses before they make a decision. With your business, they might only compare 1 or 2 and go, you know what, this is just better. And that will increase your conversion rate over time. Cool. Hope there was value in this conversation. And again, if you enjoy videos like this, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe. It gives me an indication of whether you actually find this valuable or not. Maybe even leave a comment if you've got any questions, and I'll happily answer it for you. Much love, guys. Cheers.